Coming to you from the Deep South, this is the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast. High-impact leadership is not reserved for leaders, and it has nothing to do with your position, title, or rank. However, it does have everything to do with your character. It's time to climb to the next level and beyond, personally and professionally. Now, let's start making it happen with your host, Mac Story.
Hello and welcome to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast today. I'm excited today. I got somebody on, Mr. Chad Cox, and I met Chad a little while back. I'm going to let him tell you a little bit more about it. But welcome to the show, Chad.
Thanks for having me, Mac. I appreciate it. Definitely a blessing and an honor to be here.
Look, man, I got my helmet on in case you get me fired up and I run into the wall while we're talking. I got my helmet on. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I got mine on, and I got a mouthpiece as well. I may need it, so.
Okay.
Ready to
All right.
fire this Saturday morning off for sure.
Yep. So for everyone listening, you know, I don't do a lot of interviews with people. I only do really interviews with people I know. I get a lot of requests for people to be actually on my show, but I don't invite them on. I only really have people that I know, got to know personally, or either clients and Chad, somebody I got to know. So first of all, Chad, where do you work and what kind of work do you do?
I work at Brent Scarbrough Company out of Newnan, Georgia. We just recently moved from Fayetteville to Newnan, Georgia, and I run the Trenchless Solutions division. All the trenchless work we do, horizontal drilling, anywhere from 2-inch to 120-inch. So we run about one crew base, probably about 15 guys that separate every now and then to run facilitate a few different jobs. But yeah, run the Trenchless Solution division. I've been with Brent since 1999. So we're doing a great job and doing good things. Yes, sir.
That's awesome. I know you guys are. I come out there that one day and saw you guys and got to see a little bit about what you do and shake your team's hand. Man, you got a great team.
Yes, we got a phenomenal team. We've all been together for several years, and Brent takes good care of us. Brent and Shane Waters itself. They just introduced Shane Waters as the president of the company here recently. So
okay,
got a lot of changes. We're doing great, doing absolutely phenomenal right now, for sure.
Okay, can you remember how we met? I mean, how you come
Mac,
across me? Or?
I came across you on the LinkedIn page one day, and then the Blue Collar Leadership, the name actually grabbed my eye when it. Be honest with you, the Blue Collar Leadership, and when I seen that, I started reading into it, and you put them nuggets out every now and then, and it just kind of rung a bell, and I seen a phone number, I seen a cell number, and that was odd because a lot of people won't really leave their number, and I just I debated about calling, but I did call you, and we felt like I'd known you for 20 years when I talked to you, and
we started out wide open, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. I mean, we hit it off like we picked up where we left off, and we didn't ever leave off. It was amazing to talk to you because I kind of felt like I was talking to me, to myself, and that just really rung a bell with me and knew, hey, I was in the right place. I've called the right guy. This is a long time coming, and it's a blessing for sure.
Yeah, we've been talking ever since, man. I mean, it's always great to meet folks like you. And I do put my number out there. Very few people call it, but I put it out there to a lot of people. Before we get to talking about some of the things we were going to talk about, you just mentioned LinkedIn, and I got a podcast. I think it's in the late 90s in the series, somewhere around 92 or 4 or something like that. But for my listeners, if they want to go listen to it, but I always talk about, people need to use LinkedIn. It doesn't matter. You don't have to wear a suit to use LinkedIn. You don't have to work in the office. And blue-collar people, white-collar people, everybody uses LinkedIn for professional networking. But just real quick, can you just mention why you use it, the benefit you get out of LinkedIn for people who maybe don't?
Well, you know what? The same as you said. It's a business app that I use for different types of the industry that I'm in. Midwest Mow and Barbco is the big guys up there I keep up with and know them guys, and we kind of post pictures on there for a business as well to show show what we do and different ideas. And but yeah, I'm a big user of LinkedIn, big fan of it. it's not like a Facebook. It's a little different vibe that we have on the professional level of business, and it just gets stories out there, and it reaches a lot of people in the network for the industry that I'm in, for sure.
Yep, and again, that's how what you mentioned. That's how you found out about me, and then we got connected. And about 90% or more of our business comes from LinkedIn. So I know when after we met, I sent you some books, or you ordered some books. I can't remember how that happened now. It's been a little while back, and I talked to a lot of people. You probably remember, but what happened when you got into my books?
Well, we talked, and you agreed to, you sent me 5 books, and I've never been a big reader, and my wife asked me, she's like, I've never known you to read, Chad, and I've never known myself to read. Didn't like school, didn't like to be, didn't like to read, but after talking with you, I think I read the first book. I believe you had me read. I can't really put my finger on it exactly when I read first. I read, all 5 of them.
Yeah.
And soon as I read the introduction, and soon as I started, I was hooked. I was, it puts it in a different language. It's not a hard book to read, and I'm a slow reader, so it didn't, and I had to keep reading and keep reading and keep reading, and I couldn't stop reading. It was exactly the language I've been thinking, but it was putting it into a paragraph, and it started making sense and making more sense and making more sense. And, it's just been a bombshell every now. I got to get home and read sometimes the same book I've already read, and I'm getting something totally different out of it, every time I do that,
Yep.
It was very addictive, for sure, for me to start reading some of that language of the blue collar leadership and some of the things I've been thinking and just couldn't put into words. And it started making more sense to me as I read it. It started putting my terms into the language that, I was reading. It was amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the first book you read was Blue Collar Leadership and Culture. The
Culture, that's right. The culture book. You're exactly right. And once I, it was different. It was different for me because, again, like I just said, I just haven't been a big reader, and I didn't know how I was really going to respond to it. But I did, with my time schedule is crazy. I'm in about 12 to 14, sometimes 16 hours a day. When I get home, I got the grandkids and kids and my wife, so we try to get that time with them the best I can, and trying to facilitate the reading part. But I made it a part of my schedule, and now it's a part of my life. So it's just it's doing big things for me, and it instills something in me that's very powerful, and I do get a little amped up when I call you. I know some of them phone calls I call you sometimes and probably blow you away a little bit, but that's just,
I love it.
That's I act the same way I act as I'm behind closed doors as I do out, out of closed doors. So, you get me, and it just very intensifying book for me, very aggressive book. I know some would say, well, you shouldn't use aggressive, but when you think about my life and my career and family and my crew, my guys I lead, that means a lot to me. So yeah, it is pretty aggressive, and that's how I want it to be.
Yep, and I appreciate you being on, because I know you've been saying for a while, how gung ho you've been and that sort of stuff, and I'm like, man, I got to get you on the podcast, and you finally got ready to get on here because you have a message and you want to share it. And we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But one thing you mentioned, I was talking to you earlier, and just so people know, you're at work today, right? You're in the truck.
That's correct. That's correct. Excuse me for coughing. When I talk about that, I get a little choked up every now and then, so I apologize. But yeah, I'm at work today. Weather's been crazy. We just had a lot of rainy season. So we come into work today, and I had to make time for this because the opportunity right here is huge for me just to tell my story. I've been wanting to do this for several years. Really about the last 12 years, I just feel like that my story needs to be heard, and it finally needs to come out. I hope it touches somebody that will listen to it and to take initiative to, maybe somebody's in the same boat as me. We're just with a different paddle, and we, I think it's definitely going to be helpful. That's for sure. I'm hoping.
Yep. Yeah, man. So as we ease into that part where you talk about your story, and I may not have even heard some of the stuff you're going to share, but we were talking earlier today, getting ready for this call, and something that maybe will kind of lead into that. You mentioned something I said to you last time we talked about looking in the mirror. You want to
That's correct.
You want to talk about that reflection, and then
I'd like to
lead off into your story?
Yes, sir. I'd like to. I know I called you that day, and I probably amped up again, and I probably read a few nuggets you sent to me, and it hits home. But the one thing you said is, you said, I'm gonna leave you with this, and you asked me, Chad, have you ever looked into the mirror? And yes, sir. What'd you see? And well, if you close your eyes, that reflection's still there, and that hit me, like a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, from Nolan Ryan, and I tell you, that really hit home because all the opposition that I've been through in my life and all the hardships and struggles and, trying to be that guy and not trying to be righteous, but trying to live on that particular path and journey. So you look in that mirror and that reflection doesn't go away. And I guess I'd use that analogy. It really hit me pretty hard to say, what, all the issues I've had, you can close your eyes and think it's gone, but you're still there. You ain't going nowhere. Those problems are still there that you got to face and you got to man up to, and you got to try to facilitate and mitigate to it the best you can, and you're not going to make all the right decisions. That's for sure. We're not perfect people, but there's a way to do that, and just stand up to them and face them. And, so it just really hit home for me when you said that. And I don't know, I could use that into 1,000 different situations in my life and here on the job site and, in everything, not only me looking in the mirror, but if that job looks in the mirror, that job's still going to be there,
Yeah.
So you have to fight through the, all the cracks and kinks, and you got to keep pushing, and you got to keep pushing to greatness, because beyond greatness, there's phenomenal, and that's the phenomenal side that I'm trying to reach. I don't have a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan. I've got a daily plan, just to get best version of me every single day, and I don't know, that mirror quote right there just really, hit me pretty hard for sure. And I told my wife about it, and she even got excited about it. We started talking, and my wife is my stone. She's my rock, man. So
yeah,
she, it's just really I don't know. It hit me a great way for sure. Definitely an eye opener for sure.
Okay, and that's pretty cool. You saw it like that. That's what things are supposed to be. All this leadership type stuff, personal growth stuff. I mean, it's meant to be thought provoking. That's what these books are full of. My books and everybody else's books relate to this subject. It's all about provoking thought, raising our level of awareness. And just do want to say, a minute ago when I was talking about you at work, everybody doesn't know when we're recording this. It's Saturday morning, so you working the weekend, and this was when you had time to do the podcast. I don't know if you knew when we scheduled it you had to work, but
yeah,
I appreciate.
Yeah, I didn't want to reschedule, and I told my guys, I said, look, guys, I'm gonna get off this tractor for about an hour and turn it over to you guys. I've got to go. Something very important I got to maintain right quick. So,
and you want to share this. Yep. And for folks that don't know Chad Cox, again, he's on LinkedIn and probably some other social media. I think I see you on Facebook, but you guys, especially on LinkedIn, reach out and connect with Chad, no matter what industry you're in. He's a great guy. He got some good stuff. He shares some great things about his team, what he's doing, kind of work he does. But if you don't know Chad, I got to tell you, if you know me, I'm like 5'7", 170 pounds. I'm like a little guy. Crazy. I was crazy back in the day, Chad, but I'm better now. but Chad is like swole up, looks like the Hulk. And I was in the Marine Corps and found out Chad was in the Marine Corps. I don't know if any of your story you about to tell might involve any of that, but just to share with folks that you were in a Marine and you still a big, tough dude. You seem like one of the nicest guys I ever met, but some of us are like that, but we ain't always been like that.
No, we ain't always been like that. Kind of, wake the beast up every now and then, but you got to know how to control it. And that's some things I've learned. But, getting back on the crew that you just mentioned, we did some great stuff last year. We did, have a big presentation in Trenchless Technology magazine. Big write-up story there, engineering records, NRNE, I think it's ENR magazine. We had a few features in there from a Monroe job in Monroe, Georgia. And we've really put ourselves on the map here lately, with Brent Scarbrough and Barbco and TRS. We've done some great things in the industry, and we're still doing great things. And we we're doing really well right now with these underground drills, and we're making a lot of things that they say we can't do, and we're being successful. So really came a long way for sure, definitely.
And I know you guys you and your team, y'all get a lot of recognition within the industry for what y'all do. So, and I know safety is a big piece of it, and I know it's a dangerous work. So appreciate what you guys do. I mean,
yes, sir.
Blue collar people, I mean, they're the backbone of the world.
That's right. We build America, and we're the ones out here in the gauntlet, down in the ditches and the trenches, and we're the ones making stuff go down. We're not in the offices and the heating and the air conditioner, and it gets tough at times. The environment we deal with and the people we have to, the community where you're working at sometimes depends on what area you're working in. Can kind of get havoc, at the same time. So you got to be able to be very diverse, talk to customers and talk to the community and understand how to pacify them when you can, So my theory is, kindness kills. You hit them with just as kind as you can be. But then, like you said, they look at me and think, oh, this guy's going to be, he's about 245 pounds, but very, very, very humble guy, just to, try to be professional as I can. And I get a lot of crazy looks sometimes when people see me. You're exactly right. Like, the conversation's not going to go well. But then when we walk away, they like, wow, that went better than I thought it was. So,
yeah, man, you awesome. Yep. What you were just saying, you mentioned, how tough it is out there in the trenches, and literally for you in the trenches and your team. But let's talk about what we're really here for, your story. So,
yes, sir.
However
yes,
far
sir.
you want to go back, I know everybody has a tough life. They just have it in a different way. I don't know anybody yet that had like just a wonderful life. It doesn't matter. Everybody's got stuff. So, so however far back you want to go, and just share your story. Who are you? Where you come from? How'd you get
yes,
here?
Sir.
Thanks.
Well, I'm from Fairburn, Georgia, a rural town down near South Fulton County. Went to elementary school out there, and that's where we started a life at. We, again, we went through I got two older sisters that were great, absolutely, pretty much, helped raise me. We did good. We did good at times, and we didn't do very good at times. We had my mother was a very addictive person. She got into a little bit of a crack cocaine issue, and really wasn't there at the time. My dad was alcoholic. We didn't have the things we wanted, and like we wanted the things in life that we didn't have to, we couldn't get, we couldn't afford. So I was kind of in an opposition, at an early age, seen a lot of stuff I probably shouldn't have seen at an early age. But that's kind of where it all started. That's where it started.
That's a tough spot to be in as a young fella, ain't it?
Yeah, it really is. It really is, Mac. I hung out with a lot of great people that were decent. We were decent people for sure. They all had money, and we played baseball and football, and they would help pay for my registration for the park football and the baseball football, and I knew as a kid, it's kind of embarrassing as a kid if you think about it. There's a lot of imposition right there as a young fella trying to work your way through the lines, and of course there's some guys that's gonna look at you down and make fun of you and stuff like that. But it was kind of rough going through that part of it, to see your mom like that. And then the older I got, we moved house to house. We got kicked out of, I guess, evicted from a few homes, and they struggled. Sisters pretty much helped, again, take care of me and help me, follow that line and stay in school, and done really well in school for sure. Big football player out of South Fulton County. I played all the way from Fairburn Flames all the way up through, I think, from Mighty Mites to a little bitty old little kid down out there. But that's the beginning of it. That's the beginning of where I started, is down in Fairburn, Georgia.
In a tough family situation.
Yeah, very tough, very tough. Anytime there's drugs involved with the adult and trying to raise a family, and the father and dad, mother's not seeing eye to eye, then as a kid, you've got to kind of, you're looking for somebody to look up to and a mentor. And all my other buddies had these super parents that were doing stuff for them, and I seen it, and I learned early. I learned very early. And everybody's, it happens to a lot of people for sure. But it did happen to me, and it was pretty tough. It was pretty tough as a kid. It would be tough on any kid trying to come through that, So
Yep.
that's kind of where it started. That kind of, where we house to house. I eventually went to a Creekside High School out of South Fulton County. I started on the varsity. I made varsity starting middle linebacker in ninth grade. So
you look like a middle linebacker, a big one.
Yeah, they put me in that position, and I did great, and it just, again, it was still that home factor that was still taking a burden on me, because I was taking a lot of stuff with me. I didn't know how to justify that in between trying to be socially nice, to fitting in with the crowd versus who I really was, and where I should be. But that's the beginning right there. That's the chapter where we kind of begin this whole thing. And shortly after high school, I got an offer from Kemper Military Junior College out of Booneville, Missouri.
Okay.
So that was a plus for me. I was projected, to be just like my dad and get, thrown in jail and just, run down the same kind of path he ran down. And that's kind of where I was headed. Did do a lot of stuff I wasn't supposed to be doing. And, I think it just relates back from seeing it as a kid so much. I guess thinking it was okay, not anything with type of drugs, just a lot of drinking beer and, just not doing the right thing.
So you stayed away from the drugs, but you got into a little beer and
I got into a bunch of
wildness.
beer. Yeah,
bunch of beer like me.
Yeah, and it just wasn't good. It made me make bad decisions. It didn't not making the right decisions, and I really didn't care. I had the mindset then of it didn't really matter. I felt like I didn't have nothing at the time, so what was going to be taken away from me? You couldn't hurt me already more than I was already going through it. So my mindset was just like, hey, it can't get no worse than it is. So didn't have nobody right there to mentor to me or tell me, take me under their wing or nothing like that. So yeah, that would get pretty rough on old fella, and it did.
Was that when you were in the military school, Chad? You're talking about before the military school or while you were there?
That was before military school, right? As my, now my sophomore year in high school, because we were still going through that, went as a junior in high school. Now, junior in high school, the day before my senior practice, my father, Roger Cox, bless his heart, he passed away that night. Mac, it was 3:00 in the morning, and my mom woke me up. She had been under the influence again of whatever substance she was doing. I'm not 100%, but he had a heart attack right there. I gave him CPR for about 15. It felt like 15 minutes, but they told me it was about 5. But I gave him CPR right there in the bathroom of the apartment we live with my grandmother, and he didn't make it. He didn't make it on. That was the day before my senior year summer practice was going to start at Creekside, and that right there was just a bombshell. Even though he was who he was, he was still my father. Still loved him. Respected him.
Wow.
And that's where the twist took place in my life. That was a lot of adversity. That's when the opposition really hit home right there.
That's a tough thing for a young man to have to deal with. Beyond all the environment that all of it happened in.
Oh yeah, and it went from going through that, to really kicking me on down further, with losing him. He was kind of like the other father, the male figure there to help me through the rankings of football and the encouragement, even though it was, I don't know if it was all authentic or artificial. It kind of both at the same time, if you want to say. But he did his best he could. He was dealing with a lot of himself, and just wish it was different. I wish it was different. And, we all wish everything was different sometimes, but unfortunately it wasn't. But that's when I went off to Booneville, Missouri, Kemper Military Junior College. That's when the whole Marine thing, kind of took place as well. And I was really wanting to play football, and I did great. I did great up there, and made some great achievements. You know, got maybe a couple Player of the Week deals, and I was up there by myself, didn't know anybody, didn't know a single soul, and didn't even know where I was going. I just jumped on a gray hair bus and took off.
And you was up there for a couple of years?
I was up there for 2 years. Never came home. Didn't really, after my father passed away, I didn't feel like there was really nothing at home for me, so I stayed there, and I left there with an associate's degree, and it was in business. Just the easiest one I could find.
I know. I do know. I did it too.
Yeah, I was out just to try to get something. My main focus for some reason was just playing football. I wasn't really concerned about the education, to be honest with you. But I was starting to turn there. I was starting to see a different side at that point that, hey, you can either use it as an excuse and you can just let everybody be right, or you can, you can use this as a stepping stone to say, you're not going to be like this, and you're not going to let this overpower you, and you're going to push through it, and they never had the literature that I'm reading now. See, I never had that equation to read or anything like that, and I know I'm putting this together kind of maybe backwards, but I will be very, very clear when I say it. There was a twist right there when I went back home after those 2 years. I moved up to Jefferson City, Tennessee, with my aunt, and when I got there, and those 2 years flew by, and it felt like my dad had just passed away. So I had a chip on my shoulder. I had this aggressive side of me that nobody didn't want to see, and that I was dealing with personally, trying to really figure all this out. It was just that was a pretty rough onset from what I just gave you from Fairburn, Georgia to Booneville, Missouri, and then back to Jefferson City, Tennessee. So that timeline there was pretty rough on me. It was a tear down, but I think the Lord was testing me, and definitely a God-driven man for sure. Without Him, none of this is possible. And
He likes to test the top, doesn't he?
Oh, I tell you, he tested the waters on me, and he really, I didn't know, at some point, Mac, I didn't know whether I wanted to live or die, and I'm just being honest when I say that. I'm going to be as honest as I can here. I want to, but it didn't really matter to me, I think that's one of the reasons of getting in trouble and, 20, 30 bar fights, and, just didn't have a filter. I didn't have a care in the world what happened, so even after the schooling and the football and, everything that went on, and I still I couldn't get my mind into a position where it needed to be, and so I, stayed out there in Jefferson City for a year and a half. And, with all this going on, my sister had married a fella that worked with Reynolds and Company out of Fairburn, Georgia, and came back, got a job with him. I came back from Jefferson. I moved back in with them in McDonough, Georgia. That's when I ended here, and started working with him, and I was still battling the alcohol, trying to not really, like I didn't have a problem drinking it. I just was a problem when I was drinking it, so, I
know about those days. I'm better now, but I know about those days from, my own story. Yep. Right. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It was tough because I really didn't have to drink, but when I did drink, it just turned me into a whole different person that nobody wanted to be around, but I blamed everybody else, it was y'all's fault, and didn't never take accountability and ownership of what I was doing, and had a rough time, man. It was pretty rough, that I could use. I always went back to my father and use that as an excuse, and really never rekindled that relationship with my mother because I blamed her for all her doings and the stress on him, and there was a lot of blame in there and a lot of resentment, which I shouldn't have been like that, but I definitely was. Still wasn't really old enough to really realize my path. I know there was a path there, and the Lord was guiding me through it. I used to pray about being great. I want to be great, And I think you said to me a few times, son, you told me you want to be great. This is, I'm molding you. I'm cutting you. I'm going to put you through the heat and the press, and we're going to see what, and I just stayed focused. I really trust the process. I didn't know about the process until now, now that I'm learning all these books that you've been writing and the literature that you've been putting in, it hits, and that's why I get so intense about it. And when I talk to my crew, they can see like, why you not really, I'm not really yelling, but I'm really, really intense because
you just fired up. You excited.
Yeah, I get fired up because this literature is hitting me a different way and a different angle. It's almost like hitting somebody full speed on the kickoff team when you bust a wedge out, and
that's the way you feel when you open them books.
Yeah, that's how I feel, and I can be dead tired from work, but I open that sucker and I start reading, and, when the light bulb goes off, and then I start, I'm writing notes down, and I got highlights going everywhere, and, it's just crazy how that works. And I don't know, that's kind of my start of the journey there. Again, I don't want to get too far off track with you. I apologize.
Oh, it's good stuff. Let me just mention one thing that you brought up.
Yes.
It's just something I read the other day, and from us talking that our story, we relate a lot. That's why I guess you like my content in my book.
Yeah. Most definitely.
When I started reading, it did the same thing for me that my books are doing for you, the other books that I was reading. So I do know exactly what you're talking about. But, something I read just recently, I think I saw it on LinkedIn even, somebody said, we don't realize when we're growing up, we're watching our parents grow up. We think our parents, they're grown up. But just like you're talking about, how old are you, Chad?
I'm 46.
46, and I'm 52, and you're talking about growth, and you're just part way into your journey, and you 46. You just just started reading these kind of books, I guess, a few years or last year or 2 years. I can't remember how long we've been talking now, but
it's been
rather
around 2
recently,
years,
a couple of years, yeah. So it's pretty powerful, but look how old we are, and we're still growing. But children don't realize their parents are still growing. Some of them don't grow very well, but they still got the opportunity.
Oh yeah, the opportunity is always going to be there. It's just up to you to really take the initiative to do it. When you're exactly right when you say that. Parents try to grow up, I guess, sometimes too quick, or maybe they wasn't fed to them as when they were growing up. So it's kind of like a chain reaction there. Sometimes family is almost the worst. And it's bad to say, but sometimes you can trust a good friend sometimes more than you can trust family, and or somebody that's not even related to you. So very, very crazy how that does that, how that position of that works. But I think my parents went through the same deal. I think they had seen it growing up. Maybe they just facilitated that when they grew up, and I had to watch it. And I think it was just expected. Very unexpected for me. That none of my parents, we grew up in a little town down there where everybody had money and everybody had the new baseball bats. And here I am over there with old yard sale, probably a bat somebody gave me, but it was the best bat I ever had.
Yep.
But just didn't take too many things for granted. And again, through all that stuff and all that hardships, it was almost like that was supposed to happen. That was supposed to instill to me, hey, look, this is, thank God said, this is what I'm going to do to you here. And I'm going to see how you respond. I'm going to see how you act. I'm going to see how you get through it. And you're not going to get through it well by no means, but I think I got through it pretty well. Again, I came back, and when I got back from Jefferson City, Tennessee, I started my journey in the underground world there in the Trenchless division. Trenchless work. And I started out as a laborer, just chaining, working maybe 12, 13 hours a day, tough work, just learning the system, watching things, learning, listening like a sponge, just absorbing everything I could in. And I went to work for an outfit, Atlanta Born in Tunneling. Before there, I went to work with Atlanta Pipe Company. That was in 98,
okay.
98. 1998. A guy by the name of Junior Meehan. He's a great guy. He's still around. They're out of business, unfortunately, but he taught me a lot. He was a little different breed than these days. It was that culture's changed, so I had to go through the culture change of it used to be, the generation, and then I'm going through it now. But, that's where I started into the business. That's where I got my foot in the door, and I started learning, and that's where I started learning all my skills on the track hoe and learning how to run this and learning how to run that. Just really applied myself every day to really understand it. It was something I was making, I think I started out at $7 an hour, and I thought I was making good money.
Yeah.
So
I remember those days.
Oh yeah, work, come in dead beat, mud from head to toe, but I sure making $7 an hour, so you couldn't tell me nothing.
I know that's right. Then if you get overtime, that even makes it more. Just put me on. Put me on the clock. Whenever you want me, let me know.
Whenever you want me to, exactly. And again, Mac, I had a chip on my shoulder too. I was a pretty aggressive guy. I turned a lot of steered a lot of people probably in the wrong direction about me just because I think my past. I hung on to it, and I didn't talk much about it because, I just felt like it wasn't nobody's business, and I felt like nobody would understand what I was saying, and would they really listen to me anyway, and they said they will, and you get a lot of people nowadays that they'll listen to you, but, are they really listening? Because when I tell it, it means something, and just a bad time right there, and and could have been worse and could have been better, but that's kind of where I'm at as far as my story and where I got to where I got in this industry, and that was back in '98. Now that kind of went south there on Atlanta Pipe Company. That was out of McDonough, Georgia. Office was right there off Industrial Boulevard. I can remember, been years ago, but got involved with Atlanta Boring and Tunneling. They were another boring outfit I got with underground drilling, and that didn't really work out. Them guys really were a little different than I was used to. Again, I wasn't the easiest fellow to get along with, So
yeah, and somewhere in there you went through the Marines, right?
Yeah, I went to boot camp. Yes, sir. I went in there. That was a part of the schooling. What I wanted to do, Mac, is commission into the Marine. Going as an officer, and the military school was going to let me do that. But in the midst of all that, let's kick back a little bit in college when I was there. I made some mistakes, made a lot of mistakes through there, got in a lot of trouble. And the more trouble I got in, the more eyes started looking at me. And I go into a long detail about that, but I didn't make some right choices. I wanted to kind of show, I don't know what I was trying to show, to be honest with you. I was just kind of just young and didn't understand the whole facts of life yet,
Trying to find your way.
Hey, yeah, exactly.
Trying to find your way when you don't know how to find your way. It ain't easy to do that.
That's right. I hadn't been taught how to find my way, and
exactly right.
I thought that was the way. My dad was really gung-ho on, you settle your differences, not professionally. Y'all go out and fight it out on the back in the wheat field or cornfield out there and come back and be done with it. And that was my mindset, and just didn't work out for me. Got me in a lot of trouble, got me thrown out of that, whole system, where that shut down pretty quick. But just bad time, and then that hurts even more to talk about because that's something I really wanted to do. I've got a really good friend of mine, name is Jason Stromez, and he 25 years military, I think 25 or 26, one of my best friends, and we talk about it all the time. And that's what I wanted to do is go over there. And again, I just told you a couple minutes ago, I didn't care if I lived or died. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go over there across the pond and just, that was my plan. I know that sounds horrible, but again, I'm being honest here. I want to get everything out. But that was kind of the person I was. Very still righteous. Very big believer in my country, and that's what I wanted to do. Is I wanted to die for my country because the road I was going down, I was going to be dead or in jail or prison anyway. So what could be better?
Turn it into some kind of value.
There you go. Die for that flag.
That's what you were saying.
That's right. Be some of that red on the flag, the blood I shed, and hopefully somebody remembers me. Yeah. But, and me and him have long conversations about that. He's retired now, and he guy's been over there, he did 4 or 5 tours, and, just there's a reason for everything. Everything happens for a reason. I'm a big believer in that. And I'm a big believer in things. You go through things as a kid or, as an adolescent, right there between the age of 18 to 20 that, some people don't go through and then some people experience, everybody's got a different path and different journey. Here in
the reason I brought up, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead. You go.
I was just going to say the reason I brought up about the Marines in your story, because I knew somewhere in there it fit in, but you were talking about, being rough, hard to deal with. I know a lot of folks who've been in the Marines are rough and hard to deal with, and I just wanted to, make sure that the audience was listening. They remembered that, that plays a little bit into your mindset. You can't go through all that.
Yeah,
stuff.
Most definitely. You're exactly right.
It doesn't determine you, but it influences you.
It definitely, and it's authentic influence, and I thought it would be artificial, but all that's authentic, and they try to test you and break you down like they want you, and then build you back up into something. But I think I had already been broke down so much, and I think this might make a little more sense. I can relate. I have been broke down since a kid, and then I went and got broke down some more, and I just wasn't prepared for that. It's always that something. We're not never prepared for that. The first thing they teach you in the military, and then this is across the nation, is how to carry a dead body and what do you do when your gun jams, because nobody's expecting that. That's the last thing you're expecting, is you're going to be out there at war and your gun jams and you might have to carry your buddy, that's dead across your shoulder, so it's the hardships in life that we don't expect is what is, sometimes you think you can't be broken, but you didn't know you could be broken anyway, so I was already so broke down at the time I tried to do that. I think that I didn't really know it. I didn't know I was that broke down. I didn't physically I was in great shape, strong as a bull, but mentally I was already broke down so much. I just don't think I recorded in my mind, recorded enough or recouped enough to be in that situation, and nobody's fault but my own. But does that kind of make sense? I hope I'm leading you down the right road there.
Man.
A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that out of my story. Very, very few. My wife and now you guys. And again, and that's why I'm telling it, because you guys are, you bring out a different side in people. Hearing Rhea's story and the opposition, that's very touching. That's very resilient to me, that my story, your story, and her story, listen to that, and knowing my wife's story and how we all made it out of that stuff. And, whatever happened, but we all made it out, and it's just a blessing, an absolute blessing to be able to sit here with you guys and talk about this to a medium of respect and really dial in on the pinpoint the things that could have went wrong, that did go wrong, that probably shouldn't have, but did have, so there's a lot of questions there, a lot of question marks in my life, and I think this is very relevant, very relevant.
Yeah. Rhea says something, and I agree with it, and you probably agree with it too, but she says, if you don't own your story, it's going to own you. And that's
exactly, man. I tell you that.
That's why you want to get on here and share, right? You said I want to share.
That's exactly. I've been itching to do it, and a lot of times my problem was I let my emotions take over and speak off them. But what I did to stop doing, I had to stop speaking off my emotions because it was getting me in trouble. And because my story was owning me, you see what I mean? Like it was getting to me when I didn't even know it. It was, but now I'm able to release that story and get it on out there and tell people the truth and what really happened. And then it's more of it's like a 25-pound weight or 45-pound weight off your chest when you do that. You can breathe finally, because, hey, who you are is who you are. And can't change the fact what happened, but what you can change is the ending. Sometimes you don't have to start right to finish right. You try to finish right, and I don't want to leave here, on full. I want to leave here with that tank's dead on empty. So
absolutely.
I've got plans. I've got big plans. I can see it. I can taste it. I can almost hold it in my hand. And the passion I have for not just this industry, but the passion I have for the development of these guys and the books I'm reading that you've been writing. Just though, the books plus the nuggets you post. You know, let me say that again. I don't want to take too much time on this, but you know, just
we
a little
got about
writing.
12, 13 minutes.
Yeah, I just get so much off of it. You know, those little bitty writing might seem small sentences, you know, but they can change a whole year in your life. You know, so it's been very great to me. You know, but real quick, right there on that story is,
yep.
I know we got to go here in a little bit, but
are we all right?
So I made it out of it. You know, I made it out of the hardships. I went to work with Brent Scarbrough, started doing boards for Brent Scarbrough back in '99. You know, Brent Scarbrough has taken great care of me and my family. He's one of the best owners I've ever worked for. He's helped me and talked to me, and he turned into like a father figure for me and mentor to me, and you know, showed me a different way of life. Not, you know, that there's another side that people do care and they will support you. You know, so here I am now, 20 years later, running the whole division, getting, you know, got several awards, you know, here in the last 5 years of articles in the magazine and being interviewed. But what it all boils down to is me. And, you know, again, by reading your material and putting it together has really turned the page on me. And, you know, the passion I have, you know, is unmatched. You know, I'm on 120% grind every single day. And somebody asked me, you know, you gave 120 today, what are you going to give tomorrow? You know, I don't know what I'm going to give. Maybe 150, maybe 160. You know, I'm going to live and breathe it. I'm going to work on it. I'm going to still work on, you know, my factor, and just want people to know that, you know, if you are going through something, you're right. Don't let your story own you. Own your story and tell it. You know, let somebody hear it, because it's going to help somebody down the line. If it helps just one person, we're doing our job, you know. You know, and I just want to let you know that this literature has changed my life. It's changed my life on developing my guys, and, you know, to develop myself. I try to be a better version every day, and it's definitely working. You know, it's just phenomenal how this thing's going down, and I'm amped up for it. I'm appreciative for it, very grateful, you know, and I'm hungry for it. You know, I want to develop my team to be better than me, and one day get them awards and hang a plaque on their wall, you know, and I want to do the hardest jobs they got. I want the biggest challenge you got to give me, and because I'm ready for it, you know. So
I like it.
It's special to me. It means a lot to me. And, you know, I really appreciate you, Mac. You've been a blessing, you and your wife. I mean, it's just been an honor, and it's going to remain steady for me. I'll never be idle. I might call you a few times, amped up. You may have to tell me, hey, just calm down a little bit, buddy.
I love it when you call wound up. Gets me fired up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a different, you know, like, again, and we're talking about my career. I'm really big believer in that, in my company. You know, me and Brent and Shane go back and forth all the time about leadership and about, you know, and they all tell me, man, you know, why you so, you know, you amped up a little. I said, you know, I'm telling you about my life, man. I'm telling you about my passion. I'm so passionate for this. I'm at the kitchen table at 2:00 in the morning with plans out. My wife's got to wake me up because I'm going over a job. I already know head to toe, but I'm afraid I'm going to miss something, you know. So now it's reading your books, or it's rereading the book 3 or 4 times and getting something totally different out of it the 4th time, and the 5th time something totally different out of it. So it's just great stuff, man. It's just good stuff. I think everybody needs to, you know, not buy into, but read it, test the waters on it, you know, check it out, and you know, it's just, if it touched my life, I promise you, and it turned me around, it can turn a lot of people around, because I was to the verge where I couldn't be turned around. You know what I mean? And this ain't just recently happened. I've turned myself around years ago, but this just gave me some ammunition and equipped me with what I needed to be a better version of me.
Shot.
There you go. It kind of like,
you already on the journey, but it kind of accelerated your mental.
It did.
Your mental transformation. You already making it. You've been making it for quite a while, but the same way, like when I discovered this stuff, it gave me just a whole new way of thinking, that I was aligned with it, just like you were aligned with it. That's why it resonated with you. It's like 2 magnets come together when you discovered that stuff, right?
Oh, most definitely, you know. And even my wife, you know, bless her heart, I love her more than anything in this world, and she's really the reason for all this, to be honest with you. I mean, if it wasn't for her, I couldn't do what I do. But she saw a change, and when she saw a change, my kids saw a change. And, you know, that right there meant more to me than anything, because that's my whole world. And when they see the change, it's working.
And you're talking about since you started reading these books in the last couple of years?
Yeah. And I was already, transformed into, this mold of this great guy. But these last 2 years when I've been reading it, they have seen a difference and a change in my attitude. Not that I had any, but, a difference in how I respond. It's all in how you respond.
Yeah, we can all get better.
Yeah, we can all get better. And I stopped strategizing people, and I started really listening. I stopped strategizing, and I really listened to what you were saying and listened to what she was saying and my kids were saying, and I could learn a little bit from that, and then I could put it in better detail, and it's making me smarter, making me more efficient. It's making me a little sharper on my skills, and it's really changed my life. It really has, and I really appreciate you taking the time to lead, develop everybody you can, not only me, but everybody out there. And really appreciate your wife, and story she has is absolutely crazy and phenomenal. And, just hats off and much respect to both of you guys. You guys are blessed people, and definitely somebody I can look up to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep doing a great vibe, and I think everybody, when they start reading your literature, they'll think the same thing.
Well, I appreciate it, man.
Really encourage that.
It means a lot. So you mentioned something, and I appreciate you sharing your story. I know it's just scratching the surface. You can't go into 30 years or 46 years for your whole life in just an hour, but you hit on some of the I'm sure some tough things, and it's pretty cool to hear how much Brent helped you. I don't even know if he knew your story or knows it now. Did he know where you come from? When you started there, did he know?
Kind of vaguely knew it. He didn't know the whole details, but he knew there wasn't something right. Brent's a smart man, and when him and Shane Waters got a hold of me, they seen a gift in me. They seen something in me, and
they believed in you.
They believed in me. Somebody finally believed in me and showed me support, and I give it back every day. And through hell or high water, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be righteous, and I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm going to work. I'm going to give you. Don't tell me you want something when you're not willing to throw everything you got at it. And I don't spend time now inventorying the things I've lost. I take inventory on the things that I have. So I think that's a big thing for me is inventorying the stuff I still got and working on it. Instead of worrying about the stuff years ago I lost. So, that's been a big factor. And Brent and Shane have been a big help for me. And not only that, my wife, she's helped me, and she's stood by my side, and she's not backed down one time, and she's a brilliant lady, absolutely. To put up with me for that long, I tell you, that's awesome.
I know I got one of those too, man, and it's awesome because I know
it really
has been huge in my life, and I give her tons of credit for helping me with my transformation. And one of the things I say, we only got about 4 or 5 minutes here. One of the things I talk about is for my own self is trying to stop the bleeding in my family. And what I talk about is being an idiot like I used to be, and making bad choices and being a bad example. And you talked about your family, and you feel like this is helping you help your family. This ain't just about you. I mean, it is about you, but you're probably sharing some wisdom with your family that you didn't have before.
Yes, sir. That's correct. You're absolutely right. It's making me a better husband, to my wife. It's making me a better father, a grandfather. I got 2 grandkids. So it's not only doing stuff in the field, and my leadership skills and development of my guys is very important to me. I got the best crew in the country. But it's also working at home, and that's when I knew this is real, when my family sees it, because that's all I got. And, it's, that made a big difference to know. That's very touching to know that, this is serious, and I'm taking it serious. I tell you, man, I'm blessed to know you and Rhea. And I mean, what you're writing is phenomenal. I'm a huge believer in it. It's nothing I bought into. I can promise you it's something I needed. This was supposed to happen, and I'm going to keep on drilling it, and I'm going to keep on reading it and giving it, and I'm going to keep on mentoring these young kids. And, I want to touch on something just for 20 seconds. Now, I don't want to talk too long, but the culture change, when you put something in there one time, the culture no longer exists. our culture no longer exists, and we have to adapt to these guys. You know, we've got to figure out their culture and start attracting these guys. If we don't never figure out these culture and new generation guys, you're not going to keep them. They're going to leave. You know, and I'm not saying you got to tolerate it by a bit or change your standards, but you got to figure out their culture as well. You know, and try to relate to where they come from, and try to be more mindful of that as well. You know, and that's, you know, I know that was a quick hitter, but that's just something it just popped up on the culture change. Culture book.
That's good stuff. So I'm gonna ask you one question now. In you know, there ain't no right or wrong. You know, we got like just a minute or two right here. But what's out of all the things you've read from my books, or any book for that matter, don't have to be my books, but you know, just in the last couple of years, what's the one nugget, the most impactful like thing that you've taken away to leave with the audience as we wrap up here today?
I think the most influence on me from your book is the artificial influence and the authentic influence. Yes, sir. I apologize.
Yep.
Stuff there, but I think the artificial influence has been given to me for years, and I didn't really know that portion of it until I started reading it, and how that to define that artificial influence versus the authentic. And once I read that those two words, those two sentences I just told you, that is a lifetime. You know, and you got to understand what's authentic and what's artificial, and sometimes it can be hidden very easily. So that's what it's very important to start reading the ammunition, so you understand what is authentic versus what's artificial. And now everything I do, I try to run on the most authentic as I can, because when you're developing and you're teaching, that's what they need. If you give the artificial out, they're going to remain artificial, and they're not going to make it. It's not going to happen. But, you know, we're making things happen. You know, you tell me to keep climbing, and I'm climbing with authentic by my side.
Yep.
And I'll be authentic and resilient every time I can. And I think that's the most, that just rings a bell when you ask me that question. I think the artificial and the authentic influence hits me the hardest, for sure.
Okay, and for my audience, just, you know, in a nutshell, what Chad's talking about right there, if you hadn't read, I think that I talk about that in Blue Collar Leadership and Supervision. There's a chapter in there. I talk about it in a lot of books, but basically, you know, artificial influence is the influence that comes with your title, position, your rank, your authority. People follow you because they have to. And when Chad's talking about authentic influence, it's based on who you are, not what you are. It's all about your character and that sort of thing. So anybody can have artificial influence. All they have to be is given a position of leadership. Doesn't mean they're a high impact leader, but they're the boss. But that's artificial influence. You got to build the real authentic type that Chad's talking about. So Chad, man, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you making time to get on here today, and I hope you enjoy it. This
yes,
podcast is going to be something. Hope you can share with people and let them know a little bit about your background.
Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to hearing it. I'm looking forward to sharing it for sure, and I hope I was you know, all in details I could, and I appreciate you and Rhea. Y'all are doing great things, and I know y'all will continue. And hope you guys have many blessings, and I know you will. And we're very, very grateful for you guys. And again, thank you for having me. It's been a very, very great honor for sure. So thank you so much. Look forward to reading more of your books and still staying in contact with you for a long time now.
All right, Mr. Chad. So you do what I always say, man. You keep climbing, and for the folks listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast, thanks for listening. Talk to you next time.
Make it happen, or someone else will. It might as well be you. Are you serious about taking your career and your life to the next level and beyond? Check out Mac Story's Blue Collar Leadership series books and others, now available on audio, along with paperback and ebooks at Amazon, iTunes, and Audible. Please visit bluecollarleadership.com to learn about Mac's books, programs, special offers, certifications, and more. Thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast.